beautiful. Her size is so wonderful. Being thick has benefits. I'm not your ordinary chick. I've got a lot of love to share with little short and nappy hair. Taking time to let you know I'm my own kind of beautiful. So thick hips and sexy girl, don't just be ashamed. No, 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 no. You're kind of beautiful. You're so beautiful.
Hey everybody, welcome to Jamilia Jay Girl Talk on Feel Good, Mind, Body, Soul, and Business. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're glad to be here today. We have a few changes. Chuck is on the one and twos doing whatever he do. So we got Miss Kendra Moore. More body butter, more essential oils. And I got to tell you, I use this like gold. So I try to, just use it a little bit when I have special occasions because I don't want to run out of it. So I want to give you a shout out on your body butter. And, Chuck is not here, but we still have a little eye candy. We have the doctor, I call him Dr. Love 101, Miss Naeem. And how do you pronounce your last name?
Najib.
So he's here with us, and he's just a love doctor. So we're gonna be, just talking about love, relationships. But most importantly, this is June, and it's Father's Day, month. So I want to celebrate men. I want to celebrate our men, good men with integrity and responsibility, and just know that we support them, we love them, we cherish them. So, it shouldn't just be in June, Father's Day. It should be every day that we celebrate our men, fathers, stepfathers, grandfathers, cousins, uncles, sons, brothers, nephews. So we're celebrating men the whole month of June, and we may go into July. So we appreciate you, Naeem, and we appreciate you being here. And we'll just get into it. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for inviting me.
So my first question is always, where were you born and where do you live now?
Me, born in Harlem, live in Harlem.
Okay.
And wherever since I travel often, then wherever I'm at is my home.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I did a little Google search on you, and you have about 8 books. So far, is that correct? 8, or is there more somewhere?
12 you'll find, but 13th one should be out by tomorrow.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
So how did you come up with your, philosophy or your thesis on love, relationships? That seems to be your focus.
Yes, that's a good question. Thank you for asking me that, because I didn't come up with it. It was already a thought system that I studied and I learned. I just translate it in the way that I do in order to make it more approachable so people can have conversations about it. And I gathered the thought system, because I teach universal principles about love and healthy relationships, not just, okay, here's a marriage or romantic relationship or a friendship or this or that. It's all of that and more, like Kendra Moore. All of that and more. We're talking about.
I like what you did there.
Thank you. I'm just trying to keep everybody mentally alert, especially myself. It's about universal principles, which means it's the same for every relationship, every situation, every person, all the time. Whether you're talking about romantic, relative, friend, coworker, what have you. Someone younger, older, gender, it doesn't matter what the difference is on the surface. We're all the same in content, or you could say in our hearts and minds. We all experience the same thing. What I mean is, we all experience love and fear. And could you show my screen, Kendra? I think it'll help me explain it. So if you've seen me on Feel Good Talk, you've seen that I use this chart all the time. We're talking about the 5 universal principles of love and fear. So on the love side, we're talking about healthy relationships, which are based on freedom, appreciation, communication, trust, sincerity. And the toxic relationships based on fear, attack, conflict, trauma, separation. And there's other words as well for it. Let's just pick anything, right? Let's say conflict, right? We've all had conflict. We've all felt conflict and confusion about different things. Maybe it was about something, you had conflict about a relationship, or maybe someone else had a monetary conflict, financial conflict, or someone else was confused about something that they were trying to learn. But it's the same content. We've all experienced conflict in some way and confusion in some way, just like we've all experienced communication and clarity at some time. So I like to say sometimes, maybe today you're feeling a little angry, the one about feeling a little angry, and you might be focusing on your health or your looks. Maybe I'm focusing on my relationships or my past, and I'm feeling angry, but the anger is the same. Everybody experiences anger, just like everybody experiences appreciation, which is the reason why I'm happy to be here talking about appreciation today. That is it's a very important aspect of having a healthy, loving relationship, is to have appreciation. And so let me actually tell you what book I studied to learn this. It's called A Course in Miracles. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. Some of you probably have. More of you probably haven't, but you can look it up. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it anywhere. It's called A Course in Miracles. And in the book, it's A Course in Miracles. Miracle basically means expression of love. So it's basically a text that talks about expressions of love. It explains to you what love and fear are. And I just translate everything into a way that we can apply to our day-to-day relationships. So that's where I learned it from.
Yeah. How did you come up with the correlation between love and fear?
Because the facts just happened to just be cool to put it like FACTS, but there's more than that. Like, there's more than just those. Of course, there's for love. You got, well, how about this? Let's see if y'all got it. I'll just ask you a quick couple questions. You tell me if this fits in the category of love or fear. So happiness, where would that go?
Love.
What about misery?
Fear.
Fear.
What about innocence?
Love.
Love, right? What about guilt?
Fear.
Fear. Yeah.
What about jealousy?
Fear.
What about feeling secure?
Love.
Yeah.
Right. So it's simple. It's like anybody can figure that out. So it's not about it's realizing that we have 2 thought systems and 2 emotions, and they just express as many different types of feelings and states of being. So although someone's saying, hey, I'm happy, I feel happy and fulfilled, like, well, that comes from love. So you're feeling love right now. Someone else saying, oh, I feel very down and out and depressed, stressed out, angry, frustrated, bothered.
Yeah.
You can't feel those 2 things at the same time.
Right.
You can't feel frustration and appreciation. You can't feel anger and appreciation. You can't feel those at the same time. They are absolutely, they're diametrically opposed. So you may feel very happy, and then suddenly you get some news and you feel very down real quick. But that's because you change your mind real quick. It could be something as simple as, somebody hacked your account and drained the money, or something like that. That could get you thinking different real quick, right? Some news like that, but it doesn't mean that you are now poor and impoverished, because scarcity, that mindset is of what? Love or fear?
Fear.
So it's basically two emotions that kind of determine our state of mind,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
Huh.
So another way of saying that is there's two ways of thinking that determine how you feel, and it's love and fear. We call them, because sometimes people get confused over emotions and feelings, and it's basically the same thing, but
Yeah.
one pretty much comes first. So your thought becomes the emotion, which gets expressed as a feeling. So the thought or emotion of love produces a feeling that feels good, like the podcast we're on right now. Feel good talk. It feels good. But what feels good? Let me share my screen real quick. All of this here, if you can, freedom feels good. Appreciation feels good. Communication feels good. Clarity, trust, truth, sincerity, all of that feels good. And all that other stuff on this other side clearly doesn't feel good. Abuse,
Right.
anger, confusion, suspicion, that doesn't feel good. It's very, very simple. And that's the only thing I do when I write books. I try to simplify universal principles and universal truths in a way that even a child can understand. And trust me, I've tried this with children, 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, and they get it 100% of the time.
So, Naeem, I'm wondering what motivated you to put it down on paper, because this is great information that you could hold to yourself. So was it that you just got frustrated with seeing other people always in conflict when it comes to relationships and love? And like, what was your motivation for putting it on paper? Because you have 12 books. That's a lot.
Yeah, I guess I got carried away after the first one. My goal was never really to be an author necessarily. It's just that I had and have a very deep appreciation and a deep desire to live in and express the truth, and the truth as far as these principles that we're talking about. And one of the frustrating things, because it actually wasn't born out of appreciation and love and I just want to share. It was born out of frustration and anger at not having the resources for myself. Because like you said, I could have kept it to myself. I wrote the first book, Love Is Not a Game, as well as all my other books, for me first. It was for me because I just wanted somebody to break it down to me in a way that I could understand it. And that wasn't duplicitous and confusing and inconsistent. Like, because you'll hear people say, different relationship counselors and experts and all this, they'll tell you, okay, one of the popular things is, love is so many different things. Love is kind, but love is also sacrifice. Like, love is freedom, but love is sacrifice. Love is feels good, but it also feels painful. Love is pain. And I'm like, but how, y'all? How can you have both at the same time? How can you have, because I thought about it like this. If love was a person, this sounds like a pretty insane person. It sounds like somebody's like,
schizophrenic.
Yeah, it's schizophrenic, right? It's bipolar. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna help you build this house, Kendra, Jamila, and then the next day I might get angry and just burn it down, right? Because love is painful, but love is also so healing. But how can you be both? If anybody talked to you about someone with that type of resume, you would not trust them. Someone said, hey, this person, they help build schools and hospitals and shelters, and they also go on a shooting spree around a rampage, just doing drive-bys in neighborhoods because they're very loving partner. They also sometimes they put the hurt on someone every now and again, just every now and again. But most times, 90%, even 99% of the time, they're good. But something about me is I'm a perfectionist, and this thought system really supported that part of my nature, because I'm like, 99.9% is not enough. It's not enough for something to work 99% of the time. For a perfectionist, or for somebody who wants something that's consistent. You want it to work 100% of the time. But you might say, well, that's not reasonable. It's absolutely reasonable. How about this? Who in here or who listening drives? You know, I drive, some of us drive. Yep. What if the mechanic said, hey, you know, your brakes, I just repaired them and they work about 99% of the time.
Right.
So, you know, every time you hit them, like every time is one time, like out of 100 times, one of those times when you really need them, they're just not going to work. Would you drive the car? That's why you brought it there in the first place, right? Because you want your brakes to work. And that means
every time.
What about the steering? Oh, the steering wheel, it's great, it's work, but then sometimes it switches polarity. It just you turn left and it takes you right. I don't know. It's something weird, but it's 99% of the time it'll work for you. Don't worry about that other one. You shouldn't be in any major danger, but you wouldn't feel comfortable about that, right? Someone says, hey, you know, you got children. I know this good babysitter. They have a 99% rating on their babysitting skill. What do you mean that? Well, yeah, they keep track of the kids about 99% of the time. 1% of the time they lose. They only lost a couple kids, but you know, most of the time they keep up with them. I don't think you'd send your child to them, even with the 99% approval rating, right?
Right.
So I don't think it's too much to ask for some information, some knowledge and wisdom that is effective 100% of the time for 100% of the people and 100% of the relationships that we're in with other people. I don't think it's too much to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, Kendra.
No, I was just going to say, it's just, you know, what I hear you say, it's like, we got to raise our standards, you know, when it comes to love and, you know, how we give it, how we receive it, what we expect from it. So that's what I hear you saying. Go ahead, Jamilia.
No, I was just going to say, when you really think about even in relationships and you're saying that, you know, you're kind of throwing a dice that it may work, it may not work. And if you, like you said, if you expect it to work 99 or 100% of the time, that is raising your standards, because now you're throwing the dice and you don't know what's coming up. You know, you really don't. But I think this is a clear philosophy to success in relationships, and it's very simplistic. It's very, very simplistic.
Yes. And another thing I learned about love is that love doesn't leave anyone out. It's not like, again, even if this dice is 999 times out of 1,000, you'll win. But that means that there's somebody that's going to lose. And love isn't that way. Love isn't selective and special. And okay, sometimes you can have peace and happiness and everything you want. Sometimes you can't, or you just got selected out of a pool of people, and these other people, in order for you to win, they have to lose. In order for you to be happy, they have to be sad. In order for you to come up, you have to stand on top of them. That's not how it works. Not with love, not with appreciation, not with freedom, not with communication, not with trust, not with sincerity. No one has to lose. And that's why my first book is called Love Is Not a Game, because it's not. A game has the winners and losers. A game has rules, and you know, there's something at stake, and there's all these other things. And love is like, no, everyone wins all the time. But you do have the power of decision, the choice, Jamilia choice. See, I got both of them. You do have the choice to block it, right? Like an inheritance. Let's say you inherited massive wealth and money. You don't have to receive it. You could be like, nope, I don't want that inheritance. Hold it. I don't want. You can, right? So just as love is our natural inheritance, we can choose not to receive it. We can choose fear over love. We can choose conflict and confusion over clarity. We can choose that. We can choose abuse and anger over appreciation. And we've all known that time where, oh, I shouldn't have opened my mouth and said that. I can't take those words back.
Right.
I shouldn't have done that. I can't take those actions back. You had the power to choose to stop, and you didn't. But when you
sometimes it becomes the norm in relationships, you know, and you really just thinking about your thesis and your philosophy is something that has to be taught. And people have to learn how to look at it from that trajectory of love and fear, because when I first saw it, it's like, what is he talking about, you know? But it's very simple. And I don't know, I had a lot of fear in me. I was just like afraid, because I've had a lot of not a lot of tragedy, you know. And so fear, I'm learning how to move out of fear. And I think moving out of fear is moving to love. And that's what I'm learning from you. You right? Yeah, that's what I'm learning from you. Do we have any comments from the audience?
We do. So we have William.
Hey, William.
Let's see if this comes up here. Oh, I don't know what happened. Hold on. We're coming, Will.
Hey, Will.
He says, good afternoon, Feel Good Talk family. Jamilia, Kendra, Naeem, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you, Will.
And then we have James Peak Jr., and he is answering the questions when you were talking about, you know, whether or not it was love or fear. So I won't go through all of it, because he was just putting love, fear, love. So those are the comments that we have so far.
Okay.
So he was answering those questions. Naeem, what does it look like? I guess, you know, I'm thinking about like people you cannot stand, or people, you know, that have hurt you. You know, what does that look like in terms of, you know, love? You know, how do you show that? How do you show those people love?
Well, it starts with yourself. You have to show yourself love. And if you really can't stand someone, we actually did a reading earlier today where this very same situation came up. And it was talking about fear always comes from a lack of a decision, lack of indecisiveness, and it causes strain. And I use an example of somebody invites you to like their party or event, and you really don't want to go, but you think you got to go anyway. You can't stand this person, right? Like you said, you can't stand this person. Right. So the way that the strain comes is in one of two ways. One is you have conflicted behavior. So you go to the party, but you don't really stay at the party, or you stay in the bathroom, or you're at the party, but you're on the phone with somebody else, or you're in and out. Right. You're not really so you're doing what you wanted to do, which was not be at the party, but you're also doing what you think you should do, which is be at the party. So you have a conflict there, and that produces strain. The second way is you do what you think you should do, which is show up at this party, but you really don't want to. So you'll be like, I'm here. Hey, like, hey, it's so good to see you. Like, it's good to see you too, you know, you know, and you really don't want to see him. But the thing is, everybody else aside, how do you feel when you're doing what you don't want to do? Remember, love is freedom, which means do what you want to do and don't do what you don't want to do. If you're doing something because just out of fear and you don't want to do it, you're gonna feel strained, and that's not loving. That's very stressful to yourself, and it's an attack on yourself. It's like, why would you attack yourself? Because you think you're supposed to be, or what have you. And it never, how about this? It never improves the situation. Put yourself on the other side of that scenario. You invite somebody or some people to your event that really don't want to be there, and they standing there, you know, just being a real negative energy downer, like looking like, hey, welcome to my party. Like, yeah, what's up? You know, I'm
You can feel the negative energies. Like, why the hell are you here? Go home.
Exactly. So if it is, why do I want you here? This is a place of celebration, and you are going to be a downer. You know, you're going to
Right.
be not celebrating, but being miserable. So that energy is not welcome. So just like it's not welcome, don't be the one to bring that energy to any person or any scenario. If you don't want to
Right.
go, don't go. So how do you deal with people
Woo.
you can't stand? First, acknowledge that it's okay to love someone and you don't have to like them.
Mm.
Love and like are not the same thing.
Mm.
You can love something and not like it, right? You can appreciate something and not necessarily have to. It's like, I'm sure we can all appreciate our airline pilots, but we may not want to learn how to fly a plane. You know, may not want to do that. May not like heights, but you can appreciate them people who do them rock climbing and all that other stuff. Like, I appreciate what y'all do. You know, and so you don't have to like someone or like something in order to appreciate it, in order to have communication with them, in order to
Right.
have truth and trust and sincerity in your relationship. It's like maybe someone engages in some activity you don't like. Pick any activity, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come and do this with me?" You're like, "No, I don't. I want to engage." Like, I use this example all the time. Like, two partners that are going to the movies. One likes action, the other one likes comedy or what have you. And but at the same time, the one that likes comedy doesn't like action, and the one that likes action doesn't like comedy. Most people in relationships will tell you, well, you got to compromise. You got to go and sit there with them. And so you don't want to do it, but yeah, you should go anyway. It's like, look, let's go to the movies. I'm going to go see my movie. You go see your movie. And we'll come back. We'll both have a smile on our face. But if I go sitting there with you and I don't want to see this, I'm going to either fall asleep or be mad. Right. And then you also will fall asleep and be mad. And how can you enjoy? Like, wouldn't you rather be with? That's why they have conventions and stuff. Because people who like weird stuff, anything, it could be weird, it could be normal stuff. People who like coins, stamps, Pokemon card, everybody, they got a convention for plants, for everything, for save the environment, convention for hair, all of that. If someone doesn't want to be there, you could tell, because the people that want to be there, you can really tell. So you go to join with the people to do what you want to do with the people who really appreciate, they have the energy today, like, yeah, let's do this. But someone who doesn't want to go, don't force them to go, or don't force yourself to go to something you don't like, because loving and liking something is not the same thing and not mutually exclusive. Like, I have to love you and like you. You don't have to. You don't have to like someone to love them. And that means you don't also have to be around them, talk to them, break bread with them. Sometimes if it's the healthiest thing for your relationship, think about your own relationship. Sometimes the healthiest thing y'all could have did was separate or keep your distance or just say hello from across the street or from wherever, right? Instead of talking and getting in and living together or whatever it may be. Sometimes the healthiest thing can be to recognize, you know what, we're not compatible in this level. We shouldn't do that anymore. And that's loving. That's loving for both people. So it's
this is a really simple question, but for some people it may be difficult. So I'm gonna role play with you. So hey, you know what? We got a party to go to. I got a new dress and I got some new shoes. What you wearing to the party?
Okay, well, am I going? Is this me going? Or
yeah,
you're
going, right? We kind of, doing this thing together, it's very important to me. I want you to be there.
Oh, great. Okay, well, I'm going to say I'm going. All right, so yeah, I'd like to go. And what am I wearing? I'll just wear what I'm wearing now.
Okay. So you're going to be ready around 10:30? We'll leave around 10. You'll be ready?
Okay, if I'm available, yes. If I'm not, no.
Okay, can you check your calendar to let me know whether or not you're available?
All right, and this sounds like a lot of stress and strain right now. So you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and opt out and not go. So enjoy.
You what? Are you kidding me?
No.
I'm gonna be opting out tonight.
But it's a true scenario, because I do feel like sometimes you like, I don't know, like I think sometimes it's mature people can compromise and not feel like, okay, you know what, I don't want to go to this thing, but I know it's going to make you happy, so I'll go. And it's not, and I'm not gonna be all like upset about going, right? So I'll still go. I may not want to be there, and who knows, and I've had events like that where I show up and then I end up having a good time, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm glad I went, or you know, I see the other person happy, so that makes me happy, and I feel like, okay, you know, it was a win-win. So I don't know, in my mind, you know, as long as you can be mature about the compromise, about saying like, okay, sure, I'll go with you, then, you know, then go. But if you can't be mature about it, and if you're going to have an attitude and, you know, be all stink about it, then you can stay home, you know. So that's how I process it.
Yeah, it could be a big deal especially with couples, and if there's a business event and they want you there, so just to, you know, it's eye candy or whatever, just like, oh, you know, so it could be a big deal. But I just thought I would throw that scenario out there. I want to go through some of your
before
books.
you go, let me give another perspective on that, because sometimes we use this word compromise, and it's important to know what we mean, because compromise, if it means that you are doing something that you really don't want to do for something else, then that's one thing. But if you're talking about that, you're like, most people look at compromise as kind of a trade-off, like I'm giving up one thing to get another. The thing is that makes the decision transactional. So even though you may not see what you're transacting, you're saying, well, I think if I go to this, I'm going to bargain and wager that there's going to be more peace in the household. Like, let's say a romantic relationship. If I do this for this person, then they won't be upset with me or whatnot. But then the question is, what is that not a ransom? It's like I'm holding something over your head. Maybe you don't see it, but I'm holding it over your head if you don't do this. Just like, oh, do you want this back? Well, you got to give me this. Like a kidnapping, you want your child back? You got to give me this money. You want affection from me later, you got to come over here with me now. And that is not loving. All right. And the idea that we can affect someone's feelings and how they perceive things is simply not true. Everyone is responsible for their own feelings and their own emotional experience, their own thoughts. And they could just as easily hold you responsible for how they feel, or take full responsibility and say, you know, I would like you to come. I'd be happy to have you there. And you don't have to worry about my love or affection being in jeopardy if you choose not to go. See, that takes the pressure off. And just like if you show my screen again, fear is force, and force is coercion or stress. It's not free. It's like there's some kind of subtle force there, either direct, like if you don't come, lock's gonna be changed tonight when you get back. Like that's direct. But if you don't come, you may get in the house, but I'm not gonna be mentally, emotionally, physically, I'm not gonna be present with you. I'm not gonna give you affection. I'm not gonna be. Sometimes people bargain their affection as a token, as a tool.
That's true.
Here's one right here in my chart for subtle and direct abuse. So this is under emotional abuse. So direct abuse would be condemning and belittling someone, ridiculing, calling names, harassment, insulting. But actually we're on this one. Threats to inflict harm or on themselves or on you if you don't do what they want. But here's another just as emotionally violent one. Withholding affection, shutting down, being cold, intentionally distant, and denying affection to punish. Withholding affection can come in many forms, but it's always used to punish, which is an attack. It could take the form of withdrawing affection, communication, even kindness. You know, somebody just acting stank, like the attitude, like you said, Kendra, like you're just going to be a jerk about it. That's abuse. It is abusive, petty, and emotionally cruel. Either give affection freely or don't. Denying someone affection because you are upset is malicious.
So Naeem, what do you say to people who would respond with, well, then how will they know that I'm mad? You know what I mean? Like, how do I express that if, you know?
How would they know if who's mad?
Like, well, you know, you talk about withholding emotions, you know, and shutting down. You know, so I think sometimes it's like people do that, and I have done that in the past. I have since matured. So, but you know, when I've done it in the past, it's kind of like, you know what, you need to realize the consequence. And so I'm shutting down and don't come over here and try to be all lovey-dovey because something in this situation has changed. And so, you know, so how do you show that differently?
Probably because when they walk past you, they catch frostbite on one side of their body. You need a, like a goose down, like, dang, you know, I got cold here. That's one way of telling. It's like, but you can always tell. It's like some of those. It's the energy. You know, you can tell when someone has shut down their energy, that they're no longer open, no longer emotionally available, and stuff like that. We know how to do this, and you as women know about just being catcalled and stuff in the street. And when you don't want to deal with it, you shut part of yourself down, and that sends a message. You know how to do that. And as human animals, we are energetic beings. We know energy carries information, and energy comes from your thoughts, your feelings, and your attention and intention on something. Like you can be physically present and emotionally absent. Like you can be physically present and just, you can tell that this person, and they're here, but they're not here, right?
Yeah, you know, you feel that energy. So now that I know how to communicate my feelings, I want to do this again. I want to role play again, and I want to do it the right way. Okay.
All right.
So, hey, you know, we're going to this party tonight. Oh, I got a new dress. I got new shoes. I got some new hair. So what you wearing?
Well, I don't know if you're talking to Kendra or me, but if you're talking to me, I'm not going to make it.
Why not?
Just not going.
Okay. I'm going to miss you, and I'm going to have a good time. Hey, Kendrick, you want to check out this party with me?
Girl, let's go. Yes.
Yeah.
Really nice home. So I just want to show you.
I'll see you like 3:00 in the morning. So.
Yeah, that's right.
We have to learn. We have to learn how to think better, do better, and be better, because we've always been in this battle. You know, in maybe power, maybe as women, we just go with the flow, you know, because the men, you know, they have the power because most of them have the money. So you have to deal with certain things. But when we know better, we'll do better. So,
I agree. I have this, see if this comes up from Will.
Yeah, that was when we did the
that
first
was earlier. That was the reaction, Jamilia, to when you were like, "Oh, I'm not going to show up later tonight." He put that.
yeah, I remember that. Thanks, Will. I can see his face now. No.
I know.
Yeah. So I want to go through. Oh, I'm sorry.
Is there more? I like the role play. And you know, we probably should do that in our minds more often. Like, okay, well, when I approach somebody to say this, if they say no, this is, you know, like, talk yourself through it in advance, because it is true. Like, we often give people like a yes or no question, but then we don't like when they say no. So, you know, so we should practice that scenario, especially if, you know, you fly off the handle or whatever, you're easily disappointed. This, like, prepare for the no, and not saying they're going to say no, but at least in your mind, you need to, like, Jamila, to your point, we have to like practice it and learn it, and then make it natural and get more in control of our own emotions.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, I like your point.
But I wanted to go through. Oh, go ahead, Naeem. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying I'm taking the notes because that's a good thing to incorporate into these courses as well. The role playing aspect.
Yeah.
We can all do, but we can do that cold shoulder treatment, or we could be warm and open as well. We just more used to the cold shoulder. So.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And I think too. I think earlier this week I learned something about, as children, we say no to toddlers, no, no, no. But adults, it's kind of hard for us to say no. We kind of like, well, I'll get back to you. You really want to say no, but let me think about it. But you really want to say no, or I'll call you back. You want to say no, but you don't want to say no. So I think that's another aspect. As women, we have to just say our feelings in a kind, loving way, and not like be afraid or intimidated to say, well, no, I'm not, I don't want to go to the party, so I'll see you when you get home. So that's important too. But Naeem, I want to go through your books, and I want you to tell me how they were birthed, the ideas, the concepts. Some people, I have a lot of creativity. I think I get things in dreams, and some people get their creativity in different ways. So these are the books that are on Amazon that came up when I Googled you. So trust is not a game.
Yes. I'm gonna share my screen so you can see some of them here. Okay. Let's see. If you share my screen, it'll be up. Kendra. So yeah, there it is. Trust is not a game. And that's a manual for grace. That's a good one.
Okay, a manual for grace. Tell me about that.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
It's the idea of grace came because it's what does it even say in this book? Because let me see if the main thing is in here. All right, no, it's not, but here we go. So this is a good thing. They have for free on Amazon the first few pages. So this is where I wanted to get to. So check it out. Asking the impossible. Do you trust? So scenario, somebody introduces them and says, hey guys, listen to me. My name is Poppin' Fresh. I'm perfect. I never made a mistake. I never had any accidents. Never been late or absent to appointment. I'm always calm. I never get upset. I never missed a phone call. I'll respond to every email, every phone call, every text message immediately. I always pay all my bills on time. Never had a debt in my life. I never told a lie. Except everything I'm saying right now. But I never told a lie. I never stolen anything. I never forgot a birthday, anniversary, any important occasion in anybody's life. I always showed up to every event I was ever invited to. I complete everything I start. I can be relied on entirely for all your needs. And everybody in my life is pleased with me in every way. Now, the question is, if someone said that to you, would you believe them? Yes or no?
No.
But doesn't that sound like the perfect person? Aren't we always looking for this kind of person that's just all of this, everything is in line, everything seems like it's just perfect with them? How come you wouldn't believe them though?
Nobody's that perfect.
Yeah.
Right? So this is the beginning, the first answer to your question. Why grace? Because this is absolutely no one. So all of this that I said no one who was telling the truth, because it's not possible. And to be graceful means that it's okay not to be perfect, but to have grace with yourself and have grace with everyone else around you, because we're not perfect in this way, and we deserve it. And so, of course, you wouldn't believe them, right? Because unless this person is a newborn baby, right? Unless what they said is humanly impossible. But But if we look truthfully at this example, this is exactly the narrative the program tells you about trust. It tells you that you can't be trusted unless you hold yourself to these insane, unprecedented, and unsustainable standards. This is preposterous. But still, the program, which is the conditioning that we've all been taught, fearful conditioning, it puts those kind of unbearable expectations on you in relationships. We'll talk about expectations later. So here's another scenario. Are you able to read this, Kendra?
Let's see. Put it a little bit bigger. I can read it. My name is, oh, I can't read that.
You can't see it? Okay,
I'll
read it.
Yeah, I can see I am not perfect. I mean well. I have good intentions. I may not always show up on time. I may not always
show up at all.
Wow. That doesn't make me a bad person. I forget, I have accidents, I make mistakes, and I get upset. That doesn't make me a bad person. I have failed before. I have succeeded before. I strive to do my best every day. I am not perfect, and I will never be perfect. That doesn't make me a bad person. I will not fulfill your expectations, and I don't have to. I am not in your life to hurt you. I am in your life to support you. Should you be open and willing to receive my support? Accept me as I am or don't. It's okay either way. That needs to go on somebody's dating profile.
Right.
I'm like, check.
Right.
Nice.
So the question
is, what is your definition of grace?
Good question.
You know, amazing grace. You know, what is grace?
Grace is just telling the truth like that, just being sincere, knowing that we're not all going to be perfect or live up to anybody's expectations or even our own, and that is okay. You know, you're doing the best you can with what you have, and realizing that it comes to asking certain questions. Like, okay, let's say someone did show up late, someone did stand you up, or someone did, not follow through with something. Do you really think that they went out of their way to say, I can't wait until I just don't follow through with this about Jamilia. Can't wait until I show up late. I'm just waiting about 20 more minutes so Kendra can be boiling upset with me in this meeting. It's like nobody's thinking at all about you. And it's sometimes it humbles us to realize the truth is most people are thinking about one person most of the time. By most of the time, I mean like 99% of the time. And guess who it is?
Themselves.
I was going to say it's not you. It's them. It's not you. So it's, again, you have to have your boundaries and your standards for yourself, for your relationships. At the same time, having grace simply means that you're going to treat others the way that love would treat them, which is freedom, appreciation, communication, trust, sincerity. Like, I recognize that you're free. We set the appointment for 3:00 to get to this. You're free to get here anytime you want, but I'm going to be here at 3:00 and I'm not waiting past 3:20 because I'm free to leave after 3:20. So if you show up at 3:30, we'll meet another time, but I'm not going to have peace waiting for you until after 3:20. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's about having grace, respecting yourself, your boundaries, and realizing that no one's going to get it right all the time, if whatever right is, and that's okay. But also to take full responsibility for your actions, your words, your feelings, because you can also control that stuff too. You don't have to attack anyone and be just vicious and malicious just because you feel like it,
Yeah, you bring up a good point too. I was just going to say real quick, because I do feel like most of us, we do make ourselves out more than what we should. When a person is late, it's like, well, they must, all of a sudden our brains are like, they must not like me. They don't respect me. They don't this me. And until you said it, it really didn't hit me. But we do tend to we're just so internally focused, to your point. They're not even thinking. They just might be like, oh, I lost my keys. You know what I mean? Or some, legitimate excuse, but we get all in our feelings and we make up these stories. And then by the time they get here, we're like boiling. So, yeah.
Right.
And the other thing is, whatever someone does has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. Every decision they make, it has nothing. And that's the thing. We think that everything has something to do with us because we're very self-centered in that way. If you share my screen again, I just
Yes,
want to
sir.
share this. This is actually in the book from a chapter on grace, and it says everyone deserves grace. You know, grace is a decision. It's the most important decision you will make. It's a decision for love. When you feel you are under very intense pressure from fear, to choose for love. Because it's easy to choose for love when you already feel love. It's easy to be happy when you're already happy. But grace is patience. Grace is not passive. It's intentional rather than being reactive. With grace, you recognize your own attack thoughts and you observe them and release them. You do not follow and increase them. Grace is recognizing innocence. You know, grace does not attack. So just a few principles. Grace is trust. It requires remembrance and willingness. And, you know, here's a little synopsis you can screenshot. Grace is staying. What is grace? Grace is staying when your fear tells you to leave. Grace is leaving when your fear tells you, oh, you got to stay. You can't leave. Grace is the ability to be silent when the program wants you to attack with your words. Grace is the ability to breathe through your emotional tension and relax your body. Grace is the ability to laugh when things appear deadly serious. Grace is not bringing up the past when you know it won't be helpful in this moment. We'll talk about that. Grace is an expression of appreciation to your partner or partners when the program wants you to pick a fight with them. Grace is asking your partner, how can I support you right now? And waiting for their answer instead of offering your version of support. Oh, it looks like you need to just talk. Talk to me. Talk. I want to hear what's going on. Talk. Like, how can I support you? Maybe you just want to be alone. Maybe you want to be silent. Maybe you just want somebody to hold your hand. Who knows? I won't know unless I ask you, you know? Grace is taking time for yourself to be alone when you don't really want to be around anyone. Have compassion for yourself and others living this human experience. Recognize that everyone's doing the best they can with what they know right now, and that everyone's not going to be in a state of peace and sanity all the time. Allow for that. Allow for moments of confusion. Allow for fear to come up. Allow for yourself to feel anger, conflict, and sadness. Let all things be exactly as they are. So that's grace. That's
cool.
in the book.
How did you come up with this book?
Course of Miracles. I stole it.
Okay.
Can we get to some comments real quick before we go on? Because we have some people who showed up and want to give a shout out.
Izzy, hi. Hey, Izzy.
Says hi. She also says she loves us.
This. Yes.
Yep. We're definitely getting educated tonight, as always, from Naeem.
So we're kind of running out of time. Do you think we can just go through your books and tell us how they were birthed? I mean, is it basically the same birthing process?
Well, like I said, most times when I write books, because I'm angry and fed up with all of the lies that's being told about it. So when I wrote Love Is Not a Game, I was upset about all the lies that people were telling about love. I'm like, that ain't love that you talk about. That's what you made up. It's not true. It's because if it's not true all the time, it's not true at all. So I feel like a champion for love. Like, love has got a bad rap. It's got a dealing with a case of identity theft, where someone's introducing you to love. Like, oh yeah, love is all cool. And it's like someone says, yeah, I got this friend I want to introduce you to. They're so cool and nice and calm, laid back. And then they just snap and they just start just stabbing people sometimes. They just go off the handle. It's like, what? This can't be the same person. So the way love got hijacked was that we start taking fearful behavior, concepts and ideas and feelings, and then calling it love. For example, if you're jealous, that means you love somebody, because if you don't care so much, you wouldn't even feel jealous. No, jealousy is
fear. It's
And
fear.
it's a expression of limitation and scarcity, and also the desire to control somebody, which is not freedom, which is love. Love is freedom. Jealousy, control, all that, that's fear. Not true. Oh, here's another one. Love hurts. No, it doesn't, y'all. Straight up. It just, not only does it not hurt most of the time, it doesn't hurt ever. Right?
Right.
It's like anything that's supposed to be healing. It's like, well, I see you have a dislocated shoulder, Jamila. For us to fix that, we're gonna have to break your leg, and then we'll be able to fix that. That don't make sense, right?
Right.
How do you go somewhere to get fixed so they can hurt you more? It doesn't make sense. So all you gotta do is use a little common sense. So that's where that was birthed out of. Trust is not a game was birthed out of my unwillingness to accept the idea that trust is something that you gotta, there's just all the lies about trust. Like, oh, it's gotta be built. It can get lost. It's like you find it in the lost and found. Oh, you lost my trust. Like, okay, so where do we find it? Do we find a missing trust report? Do we go to lost and found bin, try to find it? Oh, it got broken. So do I get some crazy glue, put it back together? How long does it take? Yeah, trust takes time. All right, so how long does it take? All it is. Nobody can answer these questions specifically because it's not true. Trust does not take time. Trust does not get broken. And trust is not missing. Trust is always present. Trust is strong. Trust is love. Remember the T out of facts. Trust is love, and love is trust. Communication, that's a whole nother book, which is 800 pages, 2 volumes. I wrote that because I was going through a lot of deep thought about communication. Have a lot to say about that. I mean, in all the other books, my guides on healthy marriage, socializing, being a people person, sexual communication, daily step system for your own personal health and wellness. The book
Living in Peace.
Living in Peace, the cohabitation. I actually wrote that when my brother and sister were going off to college and they were going to have roommates. I'm like, you might need to learn how to live with other people. I wrote a guide for them based on cohabitation. I just adopted it for the public. And
Shoot Your Shot.
Shoot Your Shot, a man's guide for approaching women, for heterosexual defined identified men, what have you, who are looking to connect with women. The reason why I wrote that, I also wrote a woman's one too. I just haven't published it yet. The reason why I wrote that was because a lot of guys ask me like, oh, how do you talk to women? How do you do this? I'm like, first of all, you got to learn how to talk to people. And you realize that, guess what? Women are people.
Yeah. So that should be a bestseller.
Hey, what?
Right? So you can't, it's kind of like, hey, can you teach me how to drive, but only at 60 miles an hour? I don't want to learn how to park or anything. I just want to learn how to drive at 60 miles an hour. I only want to learn how to make right turns. I don't want to learn any other stuff. How are you only going to learn how to talk to women when you don't know how to talk to people? Right. So it says a man's guide to approaching women, but what it teaches you is how to appreciate and approach and connect with people. And if you don't have a true, genuine desire to connect with people, women included, will pick up on that and you'll come across like a creep. And that's what we talk about. Like, don't be a creep. Don't follow fear. Because if you come to someone, anyone, a woman, anyone, because you want something from them, sex, their number, whatever, if that's just what you want in your mind, that's going to get communicated through your energy and it doesn't feel honest. You're only talking to me because you want something from me. And nobody likes to be, approached like that, because that means whatever you're talking, now you're selling. You're trying to be a salesman instead of, because you're trying to sell the reason why you should trade this, meaning your number, for my presence, or your sex, for whatever, your body, your time to be with me. You're trying to make a sales pitch and you're trying to be all fireworks and fancy, but guess what? You may not be that dude. You may not be that dude that's walking around all, fireworks and loud and stuff. And you think that's what women want. How about this? People want to be respected, including women. People want to be appreciated, including women. People want you to approach them with sincerity, including women, even if that means you just say hello to them and that's it, that you never see each other again. Practice that. Practice greeting people with no strings attached. Very low stakes situation. You in the elevator. Hey, how you doing? How was your day? That could be it. You know, it don't have to go further than that. And if you're not okay with it staying there, then you shouldn't be pushing for it to go further. Because as soon as you push for something to go to your idea of your outcome, you're going to bring up, remember I talked about strain before? That you're going to come across and you're going to come off as a creep. So that's why I wrote that one.
What about the secrets of selfishness?
Secrets of Selfishness. Oh yeah, that was a fun book. That was one about, that one I wrote kind of like tongue in cheek, like just for fun. Like if you really want to be a selfish individual and ruin your relationships, this is exactly what you should do. So when you read it, you see all the things not to do, because it's like, hey, you want to get people to not want to hang around you? Then when you go somewhere, show up late. When someone's telling you about their problems, spin it around and make it about you. They tell you, man, I just lost somebody in my family. Like, I lost like 3 people like a couple years ago. It was
Another bestseller.
Yeah. Right. So that's why I wrote that, to kind of showcase what selfishness looks like, right? You know, straight out.
Good. You talked about communication is not a game. That's a big one, communication, especially for people in the Black community. I can say me. Communication is hard for me, in telling my feelings, you know, without being upset or angry, or you know, that's
Can you show my screen again real quick? No.
Sure.
But go ahead. Yeah, I hear you, Jamila. I would say that if there's anything I would advise people about communication, is simply this. We know that communication transcends words, but here's the thing. Do not reach out to people only when you need something from them. That would be the one thing I would just be. You know how people calling you only when they need money, only when they want to complain, only when they looking for a place to go, only will. Like, start reaching out to people just to express appreciation, just to say, hey, I was thinking about you. Hey, how you doing? Hey, hope you're having a great day, and leave it at that. And don't expect a response. But when you only hear from somebody when they need something, that is the definition of an abusive relationship. So,
wow. Speaking of abusive relationships, we are putting together a workshop. You want to talk about toxic, abusive relationships?
Oh yeah,
that's coming up.
Yes, indeed. That is the course. It's a course that I've created called Healing Toxic Relationships. If you show my screen again, you can see it. Healing Toxic Relationships, a guide for recognizing and purifying toxic relationships. That a course for recognizing and purifying, where we'll go through there's 3 sessions. The first part is about recognizing it. Second session is about understanding where it comes from. And the third is about the solutions, how you heal. And we're going to be doing that. You know, if you're interested, you can reach out to Jamila for more information. We have a flyer. It's a paid course. So if you sign up early, you'll get a discount. But I just want everybody to know that no one will be turned away because they cannot pay. What I will ask, though, is if you do take the course and you're not able to pay, give us a testimonial. Tell somebody, you know, because this information should be available for everyone, and we should all appreciate each other. I like to be financially appreciated. You know, I like to give and receive, but I also recognize that I'm giving to myself, because if someone came up with this, I always write for myself first. And people who come to me as writers and they ask, what's your advice for writing? I just tell them, write the book that you would want to read. Even though I don't read a lot of my books, when I do start reading them, I enjoy it. I enjoy reading because I wrote it for me. So when I read, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. This is a good point. Yeah, I must have been on some good high vibrations that day. That was great. So it's not like when you write because, oh, I think people want to hear this, or this will make me sound cool, or look, not everybody's going to like you. You can't please most people and all that. Just write what you want to read, and those people who resonate with you will appreciate it. And that's it. So, yeah.
So I want to get to these last comments, and then we can go to commercial break and then come back and see if anyone else has and close out with some final comments. So we have Tyrone Ricks, the 10 of Life is tuned in. So thank you, Tyrone. He's always showing up on all of our Feel Good Talk shows. So good afternoon, Kendra, Jamilia, Jay Choice, and the Love Doctor. So wanted to get that out. And then we have Izzy, and she's basically speaking, saying hey to everyone.
Hey. So thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Naeem, how do you feel about being called the Love Doctor?
It's funny because this is not the first time this has happened. It happened actually about 5 years ago when I was doing a radio show on my first book, Love Is Not a Game. They used to call me a Love Doctor. I did a radio show every, I think, Tuesday in Brooklyn. And they called me the Love Doctor, and people would call in and stuff. So it's like coming back around. So that's something y'all probably didn't know. That is not new, but I like it. I appreciate it because I like that doctors are scientists. They have to study science in order to get their doctorate, at least like medical doctors, right? And the way that I approach love is kind of like a science. It's like, look, it's either this or that. It's not both. Like this thing is either helpful or harmful. It's either, I go through like when you read my books, it's like a conversation because there are questions and answers and things for you to think about, and just to get you to think a little deeper about things, not just based on your emotions and feelings and experience, but there are certain ways of approaching a topic that can help tune in the inner genius in everyone when you ask them correctly. So it's a different way of, like, when you teach a child, hey, 1 + 1 is 2, right? You're like, okay, memorize that, just memorize it. That's one thing, but they're not thinking for themselves. If you're like, look, I have this and I have this. How many is this? That's 1. How many is that? Now count them for me. 1, 2. So how much, when you add 1 to another one, how many you got? 2, right? You're teaching them how to think. You're not just teaching them how to memorize. And that's what we need more. We need to think for ourselves, because when we everything that I write is common sense. It's not like I just have some information nobody has. I just have an approach to unearthing the information and the truth that's already in you. And that's my approach. So yeah, I'm the Love Doctor. And I literally wrote the book on love. How about that?
And the other thing too, doctors are always practicing, right? Which means that they're always in life mode learning, like always learning, so and clearly with you continuing to write books, that says to me that you are also still, learning and practicing and, sharing. So that's a beautiful thing, unless you're just getting some download. But I'm assuming you're still in constant learning yourself.
I'll say this, I embody what I teach, and I teach only what I've embodied. Nice. And that's a good point about doctors and practicing. We give them a bad rap. It's like, well, if you know so much, why are you still practicing? It's like, well, you, in any other scenario, you would be against what you just said to the doctor, because like, all right, hey guys, the world is opening back up. Let's go to see a basketball game. Oh, okay. So the teams, they haven't practiced for a year. They're just going to show up and play for you. They haven't been practicing at all. You want to see that game? No, because you yourself could get your lazy self up off the bleachers and probably do just as well. You haven't been practicing. Like you want to go to a restaurant with a chef that, oh, how long you been doing? Like, oh, well, I just started. I never tried. I just look in the cookbook and try to. You never made this dish before. No, I never made it before. I just like try to put things together, like however it comes. You don't want to eat there. You want people to practice, and practice is important, and perfect practice is important, because you can practice something wrong and think that you're doing something, and that makes it doesn't make it right, So perfect practice is what we want to do. So
nice. Yeah. All right, I'm going to play this commercial, and then we're going to come back and close out.
Wow, that was a really fast hour.
yeah.
And when I watch you and Chuck, I'm typing, but I'm always messing up. So now I had the opportunity to really ask some questions that's like from a female's perspective too. And I just want to say, Naeem, you are a blessing.
No.
As you are helpful, and Naeem, you are excellent. And we appreciate you coming and just enlightening us about love and relationships. I know I got a lot of work to do. So I'll probably be your student for a while. You won't be able to get rid of me. And because there's a lot to learn. And I don't think too many people are approaching it from the way you're approaching it. And you have a willingness to share, and you have a willingness to enlighten people, and you don't compromise. It is what it is. You take it or you don't take it, and it's a way of transparency, I think, that I enjoy the most. And Kendra, you have any last words or anything?
Yeah, I was going to say that, Naeem is on Love One-on-One every Wednesday. Is that right, Naeem?
Wednesdays, yeah.
Yep, every Wednesday. So, this is just a taste of what we get when you sit up under him and just download. And I will say, at first, it's kind of uncomfortable. And at first, you may be like, oh, I don't know if I agree with this. But, after a while and you start to really get it, then you're like, oh, this is like, okay, he's simplifying it. Let's just, dive into what he's saying. So, Naeem, I appreciate you a lot for sharing and just your heart for people. So thank you very much. And Jamilia, it's been an honor to sit with
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank
An
you.
honor
Thank
for
you
sure.
for what you said, especially about the discomfort part, Kendra, because it's not always comfortable, but to still appreciate it and tune in and realize that the part of you that's uncomfortable with it is the part of you that's sick, the programming, the part that needs to be purified, then that's another layer of it that I like. I made myself 3 promises before I started going public with my work. It was 1, I'm not doing it to be popular. 2, I'm not doing it for money. And 3, I'm not doing it to be liked by anybody. I'm doing it to tell the truth, because that's what I wish somebody would have told me. And I don't need any of that stuff. Popularity, likes, money, all that stuff. I just want to tell the truth. And if I have a legacy, then let you remember that I'll tell you the truth, regardless of how you feel, how I feel about it. We all in the same boat. At least somebody, the boat is sinking. I'd rather somebody point to where the hole is at instead of being like, look at the horizon, everyone. Isn't this a beautiful day? Like, why is my knees? Don't worry about that. We just, just look at the ocean and all the cloud. No, let's get this boat fixed so we can have a smooth sailing, a relationship, a partnership, a friendship, a companionship that actually works. That's not sinking and going down. So that's what I have to say.
Nice.
Well, that was our last word. I didn't even have to ask for it. You gave us the last word, and it was a mouthful. So, if Chuck was here, we do our little peace thing. You guys know what we do. Y'all ready? And thank you
Yep.
everybody for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And y'all, you guys ready? We ready, y'all?
Yep.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.